Good evening, everyone. Kodesh Tov. Hope that you're all well. Will continue to be well. And I remarked that it was wonderful to be back in Shul for Mincha Ma'ariv. Shul is operating. And please make your arrangements with Mark Zohar. And we look forward to welcoming everybody back to Shul. I said that in honor of the fact that we're back in Shul, we're going to say Hallel tomorrow morning. In the Parsha Mishpatim, there's a famous Kriyas HaTorah. It's for Chol HaMoed Pesach. It begins in Kesef Talves Ami Es Ha'oni Imach Lo Tia Lo Kenoshe Lo. Literally, the translation is in Kesef Talve. If you, in usually is a conditional type of word. If you lend money to my people, meaning to a fellow Jew, lo tia lo kenoshe. So first it says, eso oni imoch, the person who is poor with you. Very difficult to discuss that phrase. And then it says, lo tia lo kenoshe, don't be an oppressor. Don't always nudge him for the money. Now, if we take this posuk as a standalone posuk, there's many problems with it. There are many things. It's almost against human nature. The Gemara says that 3 times in the Torah, if it says im, it doesn't mean if, it means when. When you lend money. Meaning there's an imperative on your part. If you have extra money and somebody needs money, lend it to him. It's not an if, but it's something that you're supposed to do. That goes against the grain and nature of people. People invest money on the premise that they're going to make a profit. I knew a Jew that prided himself by saying that I never give $1 unless I know I can make $2 from it. So that's the ultimate establishment of money as the God. Money is not a medium, then money is the end. So the Torah, if the Torah meant that, so to speak, you have to lend money, that if you're in a position to lend money and you know someone who needs it and whom you trust, you don't lend money to charlatans. And you don't lend money to people who you know in advance will never be able to repay it. But let's say in ordinary circumstances, someone is purchasing a house and he needs another 10,000 shekel to complete the deal. And you have the 10,000 shekel. And you know that the person isn't running away. He's buying a house with it. He's using it for the home. And he'll work out reasonable terms to repay you. So then there's an obligation on your part to lend him the money. So then why did the Torah say im? Why does the Torah use a word that is subject to a different interpretation than what it means, or what it meant to say? The Torah meant when. So it could have said, Kishe talve, when you lend. Why did the Torah say im? If you will lend. And the Talmud has to come along and say that im, excuse me, im here does not mean if, it means when. That there's certainly an imperative that you have to lend the money. So there are many interpretations, but there's one basic idea which Lo nitna Torah l'malachei hashores. The Torah was not given to superhuman people. The Torah was given to human beings. Human beings are loath to lend money under the best of circumstances, because you really never know if you'll get it back. Now the Torah provided, and we see this throughout the Talmud, that the law, so to speak, the legalities are on the side of the lender. The Torah wanted to make it easier and simpler for the lender to collect his money. And the Gemara explains the brilliant insight here. Shelo tino delet bifnei lovin. If you make it hard to collect the money, nobody's going to lend at all. He's going to say, I will never have any legal recourse to get the money back. The guy owes me 10,000 shekel and he's going on vacation. He has assets. I want to claim his assets to get my 10,000 shekel back. I'm afraid he'll run away. So the Torah makes it possible for me to put a lien on his assets, to collect, because the Torah has a long-range purpose here. The long-range purpose is Shelo tino delet bifnei lovin. We don't want to lock the door. Nobody will lend money if you make it hard to collect, because the Torah recognizes that the basic instinct of the human being is not to lend money. We all know that in our own personal lives. We all know that people approach us for, there's nothing that destroys a friendship like making a loan. So therefore the Torah said im, when the Torah meant when, not if. Because the Torah recognized that there always is a doubt in the mind of the lender when he lends the money. To him, it's always an iffy situation. Unlike, for instance, giving charity. Person gives charity, feels good, he gave it away, it's good, he's never going to get it back, he doesn't want it back. He's happy that he did the right thing. But the very same person won't be happy about making a loan, about lending money. Because then we are dealing with human trust, which is always a very delicate issue. And if the person, for instance, reneges on the loan and doesn't pay it back, it's not just that the lender feels that he's out the 10,000 shekel. There are people that are able to absorb heavy losses in money without it destroying their equilibrium. If people trade on the stock market on a regular basis, so then they have to have an immunity shot to be able to take losses, because not every purchase is going to turn out. So it's not just the loss of the money, but it's the fact that I was bamboozled. Somebody took advantage of me. Somebody fooled me. He came to me and he said, lend me 10,000 shekel, I'll pay you back within the year. And I trusted him, and I gave him the 10,000 shekel. And he's never paid me back an agura. And it's 5 years already. When a man pretends that he doesn't, that he has nothing to do with me. He avoids me. So it's that feeling of that I was cheated, that I allowed someone to take advantage of me in such a callous fashion. That's what makes people very hesitant to lend money. So therefore, the Torah provided laws regarding collateral. I don't feel that I can trust you. That's in effect what I'm saying. I know that you have every good intent, and your word is your bond, and everything is good, but, I want collateral, right? So you have to put up assets. The collateral doesn't necessarily belong to me, the lender, as of yet. But in the event that somehow you never pay back the loan, I have somewhere where I can get my money. So again, it's not just money, it's the fact that by putting up collateral, I no longer feel that I am in danger of being cheated, because I have the repayment in my hand. So you'll ask the question, if the guy can put up collateral, why did he borrow the money? Why doesn't he just sell the asset? And for that, we have many, many different areas of understanding of how people operate. He figures the collateral will increase in value. I give you shares of stock that are worth 10,000 shekel that you can hold until I pay the loan. But in the back of my mind, these shares of stock are going to go up to 50,000 shekel. So why should I sell it now? And there are other countless reasons why people don't do these things. Collateral is one of the safeguards. And again, the Torah specifies many rules regarding collateral. And the rights of the lender to get the collateral and hold on to it and to use it under certain circumstances. Because of the fact that the Torah recognizes this hesitancy on the part of people to lend, and the Torah wants Shalotino Delas Bifnei Lovin, that we don't want to lock the gate so that nobody will lend. So we want to be on the side of the lender in matters of collateral as well. This usually puts people in a bind because many times, if not most times, the person who wants to borrow the money doesn't have collateral. There's a famous anecdote that is told that when Rabbi Shapiro, the great Rav of Lublin, was building the yeshiva Chachmei Lublin in the 1920s in Poland, so he was short, I don't know, 100,000 zlotys or whatever the money was to finish it. And he went to the bank and he said, I want to borrow, 100,000 zlotys. And the banker said to him, as all bankers do, my dear Rabbi, what collateral do you have to put up? And he said, I don't have to put up collateral. I have all the money in cash. So the banker was taken aback. He said, what do you mean you have all the money in cash? So Rabbi Shapiro said, yes, that's what I mean. I just have to transfer it from where I have it to my bank account, and I want the loan until I'm able to transfer it. So the banker was astounded. And he said to him, Rabbi, where do you have this 100,000 zlotys in cash? And Rabbi Shapiro answered him, I have it in the pockets of the wealthy Jews of Warsaw. I have to just transfer it from their pockets to the yeshiva's bank account. Well, that's not always an easy transfer, but one way of looking at things. So that's why it says in the Torah, Esa oni imoch. We're talking about a case the person is poor. He's not going to give you collateral. Because if he gave you collateral, so that, to a certain extent, what do you need the pasuk for? To tell you how to do business? Certainly, I'll lend you money, you give me collateral, worth the loan, okay, fine. But the Torah says that so only imach. We're talking about a case where the man doesn't have collateral. The poor man that is within you. So the Meforshim explain, what does it mean within you? You have to put yourself into the position of the poor man that wants to borrow money from you. You have to imagine that you need 10,000 shekel. And that you need it. So Imoch, he's with you. So then it becomes easier to lend it to him. I noticed the time I was a lawyer, through all the times I've been a Rav, that there are people who have the ability to lend money easily. Most of the time is because they have also borrowed money. They've gone through the experience. They've had it happen to them. To know what it is that you need. And therefore the Torah says, "Sa'oni imach." Further exposition of this phrase, "Sa'oni imach," in you is a poor person. You also have needs. You come every day to God and you ask him for things. You ask it free. Health, wealth, longevity, family, peace, prosperity, serenity, you name it. Every day you're asking. So you have needs. And as far as those needs are concerned, you're a poor man. There's no one that can give you health. You're at the, your fortunes are really at the mercy of forces that you do not control and you do not understand. And yet it affects you. Poor person is someone that he can't control events. He doesn't have the wherewithal to influence or control what's happening. So that's imoch, that's together with you. You're also, you're the same schnorrer, except on a different level, on a different plane. I remember a long time ago when I was a lawyer in Chicago, I represented a client who was trying to buy a certain large apartment building in Chicago. And the seller was holding like a mini auction in the office of his lawyer. There were 2 or 3 other people there, and my client was there. Now, my client was not a poor person in terms of having money, because if he was a poor person, he wouldn't be bidding on this. So he told me that on the way down to the office, he was speaking to me, and he said he feels confident that he's going to get it. He's going to win the auction. I said, I hope so, but I don't know. I said, I don't know what the other people will bid. I don't know what the seller really wants. I don't know, I don't know how real the situation is. Many times I was in arrangements where the mini auction was only to try and get an idea as to how much the property was worth, but he had no intention of really selling. And the man, my client, said to me, no, that's not going to happen here. He said, I davened so well this morning, I know it's going to happen for me. So he was a poor man at that moment. He could not be certain that he was going to get it. And he really didn't. He didn't get the auction. I know if the building ever was sold even. But that's Oni Himach. In Yudah is a poor man. So the other man is poor because he needs the 10,000 shekel. But you're poor because you need something else. And you're asking God to lend it to you. So God tells you, why don't you lend this person the 10,000 shekel that he needs? So let's say the person overcomes his hesitancy and lends the 10,000 shekel. But he always has within him a tinge of regret. Maybe the man will never pay me back. Maybe I'll never get the money back. Maybe he took advantage of me. Maybe I was wrong in doing it. We all know the greatest sin here in Israel is to be a friar, so to speak, to let someone take advantage of you. If you feel that someone took advantage of you, then you're a fool. So that's what I'm afraid of. So therefore, I constantly want to be repaid, because I want to get out of this state of mind. I don't want to be a lender. What did Benjamin Franklin say in Poor Richard's Almanac, that the person neither a lender nor borrower should be? That's plain human common sense. That's how we feel. But now that I lent the money, I want to get it back. And I don't hear from the guy. So the Gemara says, what happens? So I arrange it so that when I take a walk, I walk by his house, so you should see me. I find out where he davens, and I show up there in shul. Never ask him. I don't oppress him. But I want that my presence should be known to him, so that it will jog his memory and maybe his wallet, and I'll get my money back. The Torah says you're not allowed to do that, because that's a form of oppression of someone else. You lent him the 10,000, so you lent it to him. That's over. That does not give you the right to aggravate or frustrate him or to make him feel uncomfortable. That right the Torah did not give to you. There are legal means. If you have collateral, you'll get it. If you don't have collateral, there are legal means. But don't be an oppressor. Don't nudge him to death. Don't bother him constantly. So the Torah took this very delicate relationship between two individuals, the lender and the borrower, and it wanted to balance their interests. It wanted to make it so that the relationship should not be harmful to either. That it should be easy for the lender to collect his money, but that the borrower should not feel oppressed. And that we know that in society there always are cases where people need to borrow money. A different lecture, I would talk to you about banking and interest and gemachs and everything else that is developed from this. But all of this is developed because of the nature of human beings. It's the nature of human beings that makes the bank and creates the gemach. It creates the human relationship as well. So the Torah wanted us to realize all of that. And in a few short words, as only the Torah can do it, tying together this entire relationship for us in a manner that we can see and understand it, and that allow us to rise above our basic attitudes and to do goodness, help support others and society as well. I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom and a Chodesh Tov. We should hear good news from each other. I look to see you all in shul. The shul is open. Get a hold of Mark Zohar, put your name on the list. We'll squeeze you in somehow. Kol Tov Selah.